Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tommy here, and I am a black Latino queer man living in Florida. I hope you guys are having a blessed day. As you know, we have or as you may not know, I have possibly about a week or two away from the next IVF appointment, and that is going to tell us what our next steps are in terms of that. Mother's Day has just passed. That did not bring up the same feelings as fathers. My relationship with my father, but my relationship with my mom is awesome, as I mentioned before. It's actually very, very good. Uh, it's gotten better over the years. So there was points in the past, especially when I was in the beginning of my transition, that I think my mother took it like the hardest, right? And I completely understood why she took it so hard. She had certain aspirations, certain hopes and dreams that were manifested around my gender that weren't going to come true in the same way that she thought it was going to come through. So my dad, when it came to me transitioning and stuff like that, it was he was like, okay, whatever, pronoun, I don't care. You're my kid. You're my kid. My mom was also, you're my kid. You're my kid. But she came a bit. It took her a bit of time to come around. So how did I handle that? The very first thing that I did was use a tremendous amount of patience. And I remember going to therapy and talking to my therapist about it. And my therapist was like, you know, your mom is mourning you. And I was like, wow, that's a pretty intense feeling for my mother. Like really intense. I could not imagine what that feels like, but I could sort of think that it would be like a pretty deep emotion. So I took my time. I was very patient. um, to the point where at one point we were having a conversation as a family. I think we were watching, must have been a Sunday afternoon or something. We were watching TV together, and the pronoun thing came up. So I basically said these words to my parents. Now, I'm going to preface this. This is my disclaimer. I'm not giving anyone advice. This is just me telling my story on the way that I'd experienced it. So I said, Mom, Dad, what you call me in the house is irrelevant. I don't really care. I know who I am. But what you call me outside of the house when we're in public, that's a different story. That has to do with safety. And I know that my parents were very aware of my need to feel safe because even prior to transition, I had already experienced aggression from people for like no reason. Seriously, I remember my car got keyed and they like keyed the word dyke on it, and then it was like macha, which is I guess a slur in Spanish. Um, And those are very hurtful things, you know, beyond just getting kicked out of bathrooms and things of that nature. And I kind of get it. People are afraid of what they don't understand. People, when they see you, when they first see you, their first reaction is trying to figure out when they're going to fight. Um, they want to have sex with you. Are they attracted to you? Are you friendly? Like they're trying to figure out what's going on. And when they cannot figure out what's going on, some people will react in aggression. That's human nature. It's just that we are now evolved species and we have evolved from a certain parts of our brain. And now we could be like, well, I can't tell what this is, but let me chill for a second because this is not danger. Unfortunately, there's a good part of humanity that still kind of acts on first reaction first. those are just things that I have noticed and put up with, and also learned with my therapist, doing a little psychology about this. Now, I think having a therapist to transition is a very big key, not only to help deal with the things you're going through, but to deal with the way society is going to treat you. Because although we have made strides as trans people, we're still not there yet. So back to the story of my mother. So I told her that. I said, please just keep me safe. And over time, I had met a woman, and I started dating this woman. She had two kids, and I would bring the kids around my parents. And that was a blessing in disguise because as to not confuse the children, right, and like use all these different names and pronouns, they just started using Tom and he because that's what the kids knew me as. So, long story short, that's kind of how it went about. My mom is now my biggest supporter, but I'm also the biggest supporter of my mother, right? So I give my mom unconditional love. My mom is a very strong lady, and I mean that. I mean, the most beautiful part, or one of the most beautiful parts about my mother, I have gotten to see now that my dad has passed, right? Their love has gone beyond the grave. It gives me such a hope for what I can manifest in my own life and to see her example of what a strong woman is. I'm going to preface all her identities with a strong Caribbean woman is. She is that much of a soul. And she's so kind too. So out of the family, I consider myself the pit bull of the family. Like I am just like the one that's gonna be the most aggressive, the most um, straightforward. Sometimes I am mean in the way that I speak. Comparison to my mom and my dad, like for sure. Uh, she is so sweet, and so because she is so sweet, and I know she is so sweet, and I know she's a loving person, I know she uh, walks around in divine nature, divine spirit. She's giving, she's compassionate. I'm very careful about who I bring around her, very careful who is around us. You know, I'm very aware of leeches and things of that nature, super aware. So I I have over the years become very protective of my mother, more protective than a little kid who's 6 years old because she's just like full of awesome. And now that I'm in this relationship with my partner, one of the bad things about my relationship with my partner is the way that she gets along with my mom. So I am blessed, right, to have this. I don't care if I was trans, uh, gay, whatever identity. The fact that I have a partner that gets along with my mom and they're literally like two peas in a pod is a blessing. And I won't, I won't take that for granted because I know that I am speaking from a point of privilege. But once again, as I've been shooting this message into the air, into the atmosphere, just because your family is religious and they believe in God and they're Christians doesn't mean that they don't have to love you the way that God loves you with that unconditional, infinite, compassionate love, who is patient and kind and shows you much temperance. That's the same love that my parents have shown me and has gotten me to reconcile my relationship with God along with my sobriety. Those two things I think have been very much healing for me so that I can have more love in my life. I hope that you enjoyed your Mother's Day, whether it be with your biological family or with your chosen family. And if you didn't get to celebrate a Mother's Day, because mommy is in heaven, then a big hug to you because my dad's in heaven and I know how that feels. Be blessed. Have a great day.